a very common problem you'll run into in business is being commoditized. And for many of us, we kind of play into this ourselves because we try to lower our price to sell. But what we don't realize is when we lower our price, we also lower our perceived value and we lower our perceived uniqueness. So if someone points out to you, for example, that your product is more expensive than someone else, right? Or someone else does it for cheaper, you can ask them, well, okay, if my product and their product was the same price, which one would you buy? And if they buy yours, you can ask them why. Oh, that's interesting. Why would you buy ours instead of theirs? And they might say, well, this reason, this reason, this reason. You can say, well, yeah, those are the reasons why we're not the same price. And that's exactly how we have to think about it. Being more expensive than your competitor is a signal that you are better than your competitor. And you genuinely, of course, want to have features and quality that your competitor doesn't have. That's why you can justify the high price. There's no point charging a higher price for a worse product. But when people try to commodify your product, you need to position yourself away from your competition. You need to stand out and say, we're not comparable to them, right? Like if you think about it, Apple doesn't, at least its customers don't compare its price to a Windows product or an Android phone because Apple is a thing of its own, right? Apple doesn't compete with their competitors. It just exists on its own. It stands on its own. So its price is not a commodities price. It's instead a status good price or a luxury good price. So it's worth figuring out how can you take your business's product or service and remove aspects that are making it a commodity. It's one of the reasons you don't want to necessarily compare on price. You'd rather be talking about the unique things that your product or service does that nobody else is doing right now. And I think that's where it's worth starting. Like just sit down with a piece of paper and list everything unique your product does and service does. And then when you run into these objections, it'll be much easier to combat them rather than saying, let's do a price match or something. The moment you agree to a price match, you're again turning your product into a commodity. And that's the last thing you want to do.